Hello and welcome to episode 139 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark, and it's been a while since we've done one of the Voice Behind the Art specials, so I'm absolutely thrilled to give you the brand new instalment today. And my latest guest is easily one of my favourite artists in the game. I own so many pieces of his work and he's an absolute genius. So I'm thrilled to announce that on today's episode, I'm joined by the incredible Florey. This guy's work stands out. He is so talented, and the interview itself is easily one of my favourites I've done. We just hit it off from the moment we start talking, and I can't wait to share it with you in only a few minutes' time. We get to talk all about his brand new print for John Carpenter's The Thing. We get to talk about Jaws, and just basically all the films and TV that have led him and his art and everything he does to today. I really can't wait for you to hear it. And usually I'll talk about the previous episode, I'll talk about what's going on, but on this one I just want to get straight to it. The interview is that good. So let's do it. Here's me and Florey talking all things art. So Florey, thank you for taking the time to join me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Yeah, no worries, man. How you going?
I'm all good, thank you. Obviously, there's been a number of artists that have been on for the Voice Behind the Art, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. So what I want to do for the listeners today that might have just be discovering you for the first time is take it right back to the beginning. And I want to know what it was that made you fall in love with film to then obviously now be an artist. But what were those early films that you were watching maybe as a kid or with your parents or at the video store that made you think, fucking hell, I love films?
Oh, that's a good one. All right. So I'd say that it was mostly stuff taped off the telly. Like Dad was out of the picture pretty early for us. So, and Mum did when I tell you what she taped for me, you're going to say, gee, she did all right. For a mum trying to figure out what a sort of 5, 6, 7-year-old boy would want to watch. Yeah. She had 3 boys on her own. So she had it cut out for her. But anyway, one of the biggest memories of that, I would say, would be when she put on this thing that I've never heard of and never seen anything from, called The Star War. And I was like, oh, okay. She goes, here, have some apple slices and some juice and just sit on the Mission Brown couch and watch this for a bit, because she probably had 10,000 things to do. So she sits me down and the eyes just go. It was the 2001 moment, like it all comes flooding in, and I just bolt upright, eyes wide, leaning forward the whole time, consumed this film. And it got to the end and I was like, she goes, oh, what did you think? They tell me that's good. And I go, I was a gasp, the mouth is hanging
speechless.
Open. Yeah, exactly. Because it's Star Wars and it's just, that's how good it is. We all know this. I don't know why I'm telling you. Anyway, and she goes, oh, good. Did you want to watch another one? And I went, there's another one, because they'd had that thing where I think every Saturday night for 3 weeks or whatever, they would put one on, and she'd gone and she'd bought 3 new tapes and she'd taped them all consecutive weeks and had them all 3 ready to go. So I don't know if I sat there. I feel like in my 6-year-old memory, I sat there and watched all 3 of them in a row, but I'm sure I didn't sit there for 6 hours and watch Star Wars. But man, that was a good one. That whole memory is just stuck in there.
Star Wars is the foundations. I mean, where do you go from that? I mean, that's your layered foundation. And you're like, right, where can we go? Like, Mum, what have you got next week? And she's like, here's Beverly Hills Cop or something,
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Which actually was one of mine still. Like we love that film as kids. You just have those ones in your house. Like, this is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. There was Kindergarten Cop, for some reason, was like my youngest brother's like favorite film. If he got to pick, which every third time he did, we were watching Kindergarten Cop. So I know that thing back to front. Other films, the same again. She taped, and I've actually got the tape over there. It was found in someone's shed, and they bought it in just the animated Transformers, the movie.
Oh wow,
Unicorn.
Yeah, that soundtrack,
the whole
everything.
We've recently fallen into a Transformers hole, as you can see there. My 4-year-old son just dove straight into Transformers. Like, he saw one. I was like, look at this. It turns into a man. And he went, what the? like blew his mind. So we've been on it, and we've been watching the film. And when we play Transformers in the playroom, we put on the soundtrack on my phone and just like go for it. It's
That must be amazing. It must be like, like your missus or whatever might be like, well, have you made him say this? Is this really what's happening? Are you just wanting to get your Blu-rays out and watch Transformers all day? Because some of my friends have kids and they're always like watching CBBS and all these really terrible cartoons with these awful soundtracks, and they're like the worst Disney films you've ever seen, like Lion King 3 on repeat, and the kids love it. And I'm like, Christ, like if I had a kid, I'd be like, right, sit down, we're going to watch John Carpenter, we're going to watch Star Wars. But to know that you're getting to watch Transformers again and again and again, play with the toys, it must be like, woohoo!
To be fair, we've gone through a lot of bullshit to get to this point, right. And we're already back. Like they go through things so quickly, so that might be like a month of just pure like that's all he wants to do. And now there's a bit of Mario going on. There's a few other things, but there's definitely some crap. And we have our daughter's older, so we've been through some absolute horse shit.
Yeah,
like the girl focused, just trash that they put forward. Like everything seems to be set in an American high school with a bunch of girls with different powers. It's either DC superheroes is okay, but then it's like just like magical fairy this and like all sorts of bullshit.
So when you come up and you get the moment when there's Transformers, you need to grab it, hold on to it, treasure every moment.
We went absolutely mental, and it just happened to coincide with they were releasing the sort of, I don't know. I've only just gotten back into Transformers. That's Matt's fault as well. But like they had the 86 line coming out at just about, and I just was like, well, if he's in, I'm in. So we just ordered all of it, and he just absolutely loves watching it all come together and do the magic trick of just transforming it backwards and forwards and all that sort of gear. It's great.
So you're sitting there, obviously your mum has given you the best prize ever of just a video of the trilogy. And you're building upon this, you're watching Kindergarten Cop, you're watching these cool films. I don't mind that film, I like it. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I actually like it as well.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
It's not a Junior or something like that. It's it's the better version of his comedic sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Are you sitting there kind of taking note of this sort of films that you then want to watch upon that? Are you getting to an older age where you're like, right, so I quite like this sort of stuff in space, so I want to check out more sci-fi? Or are you thinking nothing like that at this stage? When is it when it's starting to shape and you're like, do you know what, I think I would like to now start looking at Star Trek or this sort of stuff?
I think it's just that I'd like always drew constantly, so whatever was going in was coming out on scraps of paper and little drawing books and like anything I could get my hands on. I was most likely scribbling away while I was watching those as well. I would love to see if there's anything hanging around. There's the musings of a 6-year-old on the couch watching Star Wars, but I was always drawing. So anything like that went in, came out. I would have been drawing Star Wars then, and then comics come along, and I just remember tracing comics before I could really draw them, and then that's how you learn faces and movement and all that sort of gear, and just anything visual. Like it would just pull it would fall straight into my mind and get sort of stuck there. And
so you're sitting there, you're sketching these amazing drawings. I'd love to see those now if they're there anywhere in the world.
I know if they were there. I know she's got one from like grade 3 or something like that, where my teacher was in the first primary school I went to. They had each teacher could choose a subject that they wanted to do. Like so, I think grade 2 he was into calligraphy, so we did calligraphy all year, which was awesome. And I think probably grade 3 he set it up as poetry, which it was not. He wanted to get his colored chalks out and illustrate the entire board. So the way he got it through was obviously there was a poem in the middle, and then on they have the sort of 3 chalkboards set up on the wall there, and he would write that out, and we had to copy that first as neat as you can using the same line structure or whatever, and then the rest of the 40 minutes or whatever do what he did, which was the most incredible illustrated colored chalk drawings, like in my small mind, that I'd ever seen. Like it's one of the things actually that made me think like, wow, someone could do something like that and at school with chalk. And I absolutely love doing that in that subject. because you would get the second page of your book, and that would be where you would do your border and illustrate the poem or the short story or whatever it was. Absolutely loved it. I know Mum's got that book somewhere, so if I'm ever light on content to put on Twitter or something, I'll have to get her to get that out. But yeah, that'd be a good one to see.
So at this point, you're obviously sketching away. You're falling in love with all these films, sci-fi, horror, all these amazing movies. At what age are you? I'm trying to picture it when you're actually starting to really, really fall in love with art, and not just the films, but you're actually transcribing that to paper. You're sketching, and you're thinking to yourself, I don't just want this to be a few hours a week at school. When is it when you're going home and you're drawing and you're staying up late and you're looking at, I mean, I had Paul Shipper on, he was talking all about looking at posters, and you'd get a magnifying glass and be looking at like Drew Struzman's artwork and going in as really close and getting like absolutely infatuated with it. Were you looking at movie posters? Were you looking at artists? Were you looking at artwork?
I was mostly looking at comics. Yeah. I didn't have a lot, and I didn't have a lot of them. But there was just to me, they were the most dense. Like they were like $2 or something like that. Yeah. And it had so many drawings, even though like we know now that that's just panels of a guy turning, talking, conversations, but I didn't care. Like to me, that was so much content in those, what are they, 20 pages or something like that? Yeah. Even the ads I found interesting, like a Mountain Dew or a Doritos or something.
So the artwork would be amazing with it. You'd be like, wow, exactly right. Wolverine's trying to sell me a can of drink. I'll buy it.
Exactly right. Pizza. I didn't know what a pizza single was, but I really wanted the ones with Colossus and Wolverine on the box.
Yeah, totally.
Like in Australia, because there was all American stuff too. There was no Australian printing of Uncanny X-Men or anything like that. No. So it was just all that. Really, and I think that's why Marvel is still my thing. Marvel and Nintendo are my two things. If I had to say I had things, and I think that's why. Because we had our NES and our SNES, and that's actually on carrying on from the comics. I think I just realized it then, but I used to trace the game manuals. I'd get in there.
Amazing.
I like to think about why I was, because they were always different. Like the obviously they had the designs to draw them. They didn't quite match up with the game, and I was always like, why is that?
Yeah.
You don't know that that's a limitation of the console at that time, and this is what they would make it look like if they could.
Yeah.
This is the artist rendering or whatever, but it has to be pulled down to
16 bits. Yeah, Jesus,
the good stuff.
Yeah. Oh man, like they brought out these like SNES minis and the Nintendo minis. So
they're sitting right here.
The fact that you can, I probably shouldn't say this, but you can go in and add on other games, so it's not just the ones that are built in. And I'm like, this is all I want. Everyone's like, I've got a PS5, it's 4K, it's got this, it's got Ultra HD. I'm like, hang on a minute, I'm playing Alex the Kid in Miracle World right now, and it's everything that I need, or Super Mario World, and I miss it. I miss the cartridges. I miss the pulling out and having to blow them to make them work. Like you said, the manuals. Trick. I miss the manuals and looking at all the pictures and the artwork. And man, to say that you're a big fan of Nintendo is just like, that's everything, isn't it? You get your Scott Pilgrim, all the Mario stuff. It's beautiful.
Everything. It's all, and it's like you say, it's all you need. They're all down here, but even the little man being into Mario, he's like, oh, buy me Mario books, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't really work that way. There isn't really much of that there. Like they just assume now, because of the world that they're growing up in, where there is everything of everything. Like when we were kids, if you wanted a X-Men logo on a T-shirt, you probably had to go and get it made yourself.
I remember ironing a stencil. I'm like, Mum, can you iron this on a white T-shirt for me? What is it? It wasn't even eBay. It was like, I got it from some market stall. It probably didn't look very good. It wasn't the right picture, but I was like, look, I need you to iron on here Mumra on a T-shirt for me. And then the stencil wouldn't even all work. So it'd be like Umra, because half of the M had crumbled already after one wash. But I was like, I've got a Thundercats T-shirt.
Oh, I remember what was it? It was I got a patch. Dad would take us out to the market, and we would find stuff like that. We get a pack of trading cards each of whatever we were into at that time, and then just like a bit of other things or whatever. I found a patch. I can't remember what property it was, but it was probably like a Batman or something like that. And they were like 5 mil thick, the stitched patches. I'm like, oh, Mum, I want it on this T-shirt, and she's like, that's not what they're for. I'm like, put it on. You end up with this like gigantic thick, it's almost like hanging off you from the weight of the patch on a Target plain black T-shirt.
Oh, I miss these
Now,
days
now they just
already.
walk through. Now you walk through Target and there's like
Yeah.
16,000 different properties. Like they have the kind of plain section that's $6 a shirt, and they have the $12 shirts, and they can get anything.
Yeah,
Like
all
there's
the
a
Zelda
thousand
t-shirts that you
different
ever
things.
would have killed for. There's
Exactly
too many
right.
now. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't have to
Mm.
think about it. I'm forgetting it.
Well, yeah, I don't wear. I almost wear no. I don't really wear branded things. Well, I
No.
don't wear a lot of t-shirts. It's more like like button-ups and stuff like that. But to think, if I was a
Oh,
kid
if I was a
now,
kid now, yeah, amazing.
I wonder if we would love it as much though,
I
because
don't
it would
think you
just be
would.
easily accessible. It's that and that maybe that's why they move away from it so quickly. Like they go through a property and they're like into it, and then they've moved on a
Next,
month or two
yeah.
later. Yeah, because they've had it all. Like, and me being here, I just buy every single thing so we can all have fun together. It's too much. Like we had to wait. We would get one game
Yeah,
maybe for your birthday or whatever, and
you'd
you
complete
try
it.
to con your brother into getting one for his, even if he didn't want one. It's like, no, but Doom's out.
Yeah, you need
He'd
it.
be like, I don't want a Doom. I want a cricket set. Nah, but
Trust
Doom,
me,
you'll love
dude.
it.
Yeah.
You'll love it.
The thing is, I don't think, and this is going completely off now, but you
Mm.
don't appreciate stuff as much. And I was saying this to a lot of my friends recently, like an album. I used to go and queue up outside a record shop, buy the CD, go home, look at all the lyrics, look at the artwork, smell the CD cover. It's like, oh, amazing. And you would digest an album. So I remember I'd go and get Offspring or Green Day or Pearl Jam, and I'd listen to the album from start to finish on repeat all day, every
Mm-hmm.
day, because it was £11. So I was like, this is my pocket money for a paper round. I have to
Yep.
get my money's worth. I wouldn't get it early. It'd be queuing up on the Monday. Now I pick up my phone. I've got all the Spotify songs. I flick through, I'll shuffle, that'll do, whatever. And it just seems too disposable. I'm like, oh, there's a new album out by Royal Blood. Oh, right, cool. I might listen to it. I probably won't. I haven't got time. Oh, well. And I'm like, I'm
Well,
spoiled.
it's like if it doesn't grab you in the first like song and a half,
Yeah.
it like doesn't and it sucks. But because I'm the same, like I used to absolutely love just getting a new CD or whatever. And again, you couldn't get them all the time. It'd be like,
No.
oh, whoever drew me in the family, like Chris Kringle, it was always like, oh, Matt wants this CD. You're going to have to order it. It's going to take 8 weeks to come in. No one's ever heard of what is a power man? I'm like, yeah, well, it's a guy with yellow hair.
So we're now talking about college, school, you drawing, falling in
Mhm.
love with all these amazing things. When is it when you're now thinking, I want to be an artist? Because there's a big difference of sitting there sketching all day, doodling in the back of the classroom. When is it you really
Yeah.
started to think, actually, do you know what? There's nothing. I don't want to go and work in an office. I don't want to do the 9 to 5. I want to be an artist.
High school was interesting because at some point you get to elect your own subjects when you get
Yeah.
into the serious stuff, and I always kept art and graphic design, or visual communication, whatever they called it, which were my favorite things. It's all I really cared about, to be honest. I think I might have done a bit of photography in there. Like I'd do whatever the creative ones were. And when you get to end of year 10, start of year 11, so second last year, you get the guidance counselor, and he's like, right, what do you want to do? And you're like, well, I only like art and design. And he goes, my guy said, well, there's no jobs there. That's not a career. What else do you want to do? And I said, nothing else. And he said, okay. And that's the last time I saw him. So
Wow.
I had no real, yeah, I know, great school, great guy, fucking idiot. That was pretty much the last time that I saw him. Was my one mandated meeting with him. Like all my mates would have meetings with him and try to figure out what they were going to do. And I was pretty much written off there. So I didn't really know what to do. I just carried on with what I liked doing and got through it all. And then got to the end of school and nothing happened. I didn't know what to do. So I sort of just was bumming around for 8-9 months or something like that, doing nothing at all. And then Mum was like, come on, mate, you got to do something. I was like, so I looked it all up and I figured out there was actually illustration courses. I was like, okay, cool. It's a course where you can just draw things. This
Right.
sounds great. What do I have to do to get into that? and there was a list there. And so you had to come in for an interview, maybe 2 interviews, like if you get through the first one. Because at that time, like I didn't, uni was not a thought. It was like, I'll just do TAFE. Like I'll just do it's a 2-year course. I'll just do that. That's way less money. And I don't need someone to teach me to draw. I just need the piece of paper so that I can, this is my thought anyway. I just need the piece of paper to say that I've done that so that I can hopefully then go out there and get jobs. Easy as that it'll be. Easy. So just anyway, yeah, exactly right. Just get the piece of paper and someone will start giving you money to draw whatever you want. So I go in there and they've got a list of like, oh, here's your prep, like bring these things in, right? So I do like to do things. If I'm going to do something, I like to do it properly. So I got the list and I worked my bum off. Like I did everything that they wanted. It was stuff like, you need a portrait in there. You need a still life. You need different mediums. You'll need just showing like that you have some sort of skill and that you're interested enough to complete this bunch of stuff that they've set for you, expecting kind of that you'll come straight out of high school and have a bunch of that from your year 12 art class. Yeah. Obviously my stuff was then a year old and I was like, well, this is all garbage. I can do better than this now. So I made all new stuff. I went and bought a brand new folio. I put it all together. I made cover pages and all this sort of stuff. I probably did 2 of everything at least just to cover my bases. Cause I'm like, this is the thing I'm now doing. I'm getting into this course. I get there. It felt like in my mind, it was hundreds of people. I'm sure there was like 5 drop kicks there, something like that wanted to get into it. And there was a sort of 3-person panel. I sit down, they're like, oh yeah, this is all good. This is great. Oh, this is actually really good. Oh, a lot of people haven't used the different mediums. Oh, a lot of people have missed this part, blah, blah, blah. Oh, where's your developmental folio to see how you got to these points? And I'm like, my what now? What was the word you just said? They're like, oh, you have to have a second folio of sketches to show how you got to this point. And I'm like, I just made them. I don't understand what you mean. And they're like, well, without the developmental folio, we can put you on the waiting list, but the positions will be filled. I was like, okay. Like I remember just wanting to cry. I was like, but I did it. I did what it said on the thing. It didn't say anything about having this other stuff. At least for whatever I downloaded and printed out that gave me my list of things to do.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all right. And at this point, this TAFE was, the reason this was such a big deal, because this TAFE was like ages away. And it was the only one that was running this course. And this is the one, this is my shot. Like, this is what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go and do fine art. I didn't want to go and do graphic design. I wanted to do this because this is, in my mind, drawing things was what it was. It wasn't any of the other things that I also did enjoy, but I just wanted to get the pencils out and go for it. Anyway, we didn't get into that. A month goes by and we get to sort of the end of the year and I haven't really found anything else. And my uncle he's a businessman. He knows a lot of people and he's a very nice man. He's helped us boys a lot along the journey. Anyway, he rings up and goes, look, I know this guy, he runs a TAFE in the city. It's a really small, all they do is courses for the arts. And it was like Institute for Design, Entertainment and the Arts. And that's all they did. They did illustration courses, design courses, fine art. I think I might have done like acting and stuff like that, and 3D design, all this sort of gear, the whole gamut of whatever you would want to do. I was like, oh, but that's not the one that I had my mind set on. He's like, just go. And I'm like, I looked through all their thing and I said, oh, that'd be good. But like, I don't know. They didn't have the exact thing that I had then set my mind to, which was this illustration thing. He goes, just go in. And like, I've spoken to the guy, I know the guy that runs it. So just go in and talk to them and see if they have anything. I was like, oh, all right, I'll go in. Oh, it's across the road from the comic shop. That's all right. I'll go in. Like that, I think that lured me in. So like, all right, I'll go in for a day. And I go in and there was a very nice, everyone was very nice and they were very helpful. And they're like, literally just like, sit in if you want, like, see what this is. Here's what we do in this one. Here's what we do in this one. I took the folio, the same folio that I made in the other thing. I think I'd been adding to the folio too, just drawing stuff in teaching myself Photoshop and like printing them out and adding to it and all that sort of stuff. So unbeknownst to me, like I'd taken another step there into the digital, which I just thought was fun, and you could get more colors more easily.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really know that I was doing the same thing. I was drawing like Insane Clown Posse and Corn and like all these characters, like just blood and guts, and the crow,
Nice.
doing crow posters and stuff like that. In between painting my fingernails black or whatever else I was doing.
Yeah.
And then when I got in there, I was like, oh, what was this class here? And he goes, oh, that's graphic design. I said, oh, well, that kind of seemed interesting. Like I said, what are you doing? You're drawing stuff and creating like what companies eventually will look like. And he's like, yeah, that's the branding and corporate image and all this sort of stuff. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And he's like, that's not what you wanted to do though. And I go, no, I know, but I kind of liked that. And he goes, good, righto, do that. And I said, he goes, that's what you're doing, because you're creating band posters and movie posters in Photoshop. That's what you're doing. I said, oh, I thought I was just doing illustration. He goes, no, because you're doing, like I was putting dates on them and like type the names of the band, and I do my own typography and stuff like that too. And he goes, no, that's what you're doing. That's what that is. And I was like, oh, I like doing that part too. I just didn't know that was graphic design. I didn't understand that's what it was. So he goes, there you go. That's what you're doing next year. Are you going to do it? And I was like, yep, I'm going to do it. And there we were. So I did 2 years of graphic design, and then got the practical placement at the end, which is your week at a small design studio. And nice. I never left there. They were like, at the end of that, I was like, I have stuffed this. You know, when you start any new job and you're like, no, I am rubbish. I'm the worst guy here. And he goes, I'm expecting my check for, what is it? Like they have to pay like 20 bucks
20 quid or something.
Yeah. $20 a day or something like that. And I was like, this is going to be good. I can go back to the comic shop and get some comics. And he goes, so this is half the full wage for what people get paid at the end of our entry position. And I was like, ooh, whoa, hang on. I have no money. This is heaps. Yeah. And he goes, do you want to just come back? Do you want to just start next week? This is on the Friday. And I'm like, yes, start doing what? What's happening? And I'm like, He's like, do you want to work here, you fucking idiot? I'm like, yeah, okay. we still had to do finals and stuff in my course. And I'm like, yeah, what happens with that? And he goes, well, what do you got left? And I go, oh, I think I've only really got to like submit a few more like final art pieces or something. And he goes, all right, take next week. Do you reckon you can do it in a week? And I'm like, yeah, it's all due in like 3 or 4 weeks, but I can do it in a week. And he goes, do that, then come back the week after and you start here. And I was like, sweet deal. So I did that. Never even went back and got my folio from the course. It's like, maybe it's still there somewhere in the.
It'd be auctioned off one day. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see if I get massive.
Yeah.
But we just left all that there. And then I was working and I stayed at that design place for 8 years.
Wow.
Pretty much. Yeah. I know it sounds, but I was like, I'm old as fuck now, but it sounds like a long time. It sounded like a really long time then, but we just had it was really small. It was like max 4 or 5 people working there at a time, and people would cycle through. He loved like bringing in just people, entry-level kids, and like training them up properly, because the whole thing was like, these schools are all shit. They teach you the wrong stuff. This is not what you need. And he was right, because a lot of them come through and they were rubbish. And I probably was rubbish as well, but I think he could see that I just wanted it. Like I was willing to just give it a crack and get good and learn. And that's pretty much what I do now. Just always trying to get better. Everything has to be better than the last thing. That's the rule. Doesn't matter what it takes or how long you take, or, you know, if you have to completely redraw it because it wasn't good enough, you do it because it has to be better.
That's quite a kind of challenging mindset, because I'm the same with editing sometimes. So I can sit there and try and polish an episode and chop bits out and do this, but in the end there has to be a point when you know it's done. And if you're always trying to top your last piece of work, is it the point it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, your missus is like, look, come on, you've been in there 10 hours, you need to, when is it when you can be that strict on yourself and say that's finished? Because I've only just met you on here, but I know already that you're probably really anal and like, no, this isn't right. The red isn't quite right. I'm fucking starting again. This is not right. And
Yeah.
how have you taught yourself to be more strict and be kind of that structured that because you've got another project or you've got another piece of work that this has to be done, there's a deadline and I have to hit it? Or do you just always
Well,
keep extending it?
no, I try not to. Well, it's hard. Like, no one that's an artist, well, at least in my experience, is a rich man. You're not exactly like these. We're not getting paid the big bucks on most of
No.
these things. Some things that can be if they go off, like, you can do well, and that's where it pays to put the effort in and to always be hustling. Like, and it's not entirely a quantity thing. Quality is a massive part of it as well.
Of course.
But you always need to be getting stuff out and pushing forward. And it's also about like having those releases roll on into each other. You can't have a big release and then go 7 months. Like, you're forgotten, you're gone. Like, that's it. You need to keep pushing and keep grinding and just get it out. So I think, when do I know that something is done? Usually, or that I need to redo it. Usually, do you want to know what actually happens? Me and Matt Ferguson it's pretty much a creative partnership back and forth now. We show each other everything, and I say, no, that's shit. He says, no, that's shit. Basically, I kind of have an inkling that something's not right, or that something's shit, or it needs to be redone. So I send it to him, and then I close my eyes and I wait for the ding to come back, and he'll be like, yeah, no, that's shit. So, and then I know the confirmation is there. We're redrawing this. Let's go. But at some point, yes, things need to just be done. I don't think I've ever been fully happy with anything for more than a couple of days.
No.
Like, even when that's funny, like, you'll send it off, you're like, this is done, you send it off for approval, comes back, well, it can take a couple of weeks, it can take months, whatever. It comes back and you go, oh, cool, all approved. And you open up that file, got to do those steps now. We're going to separate these colors. Let's go, ready for print. You open up and you go, oh, I really should fix that. I really should fix this. And then it's like, oh, but it's approved. Like, is anyone going to notice if I redraw that rock or something like that? So it can be
really disciplined, haven't you? You've got to be really,
you do.
Yeah.
You've got to be 90% good enough needs to be good enough. But I know that because I am strict on myself, that 90% is probably still closer to 100%.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can get a bit silly with this stuff too. Like, that rock, nobody cares.
No.
It's just me. And like, again, I might talk to Matt and go, oh, be like, it's just fucking rock. Like, he wouldn't notice. I wouldn't notice. No one's going to notice. It's just something that's in your own head that isn't actually going to help if you do change it. So it doesn't help the final product. So who cares? Like, I'll know, but maybe I can live with one or two things, you know, just as long as the overall idea that I was trying to put forth with the piece comes through, then I think we're okay.
But those little things in your head, like the rock and the things that people don't care about, for some reason become big things, because I can just get really anal about the way my music fades in to the way I say hello and welcome to episode blah blah blah. If I'm not speaking at the right point when that drum just plays over my hello, I get really really anal about it, and I'm like, oh, I know that doesn't flow. That doesn't flow right for me. I'm like, so it's weird, isn't it? You can get, oh God, what we like, but it's an annoying,
I know, right?
Isn't it? Because
it's the creative mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the we're making something from nothing. Like, yes, okay, like, my stuff is, you know, pop culture based or whatever, but I'm still coming up with the idea. I'm putting all these elements together, hopefully in a way that is interesting and hasn't been done to death.
Yeah.
It's still coming from basically nowhere. There's references, whatever, but like, this is something that I'm creating from inside me, which sounds a bit wanky, but you know what I mean. And it's the same with the podcast. Like, obviously it's your style, the way that you talk, you're getting whatever you're getting out of your subject, and it's your creative piece is that final podcast that goes up on Spotify or wherever else.
And it's my name on it, so I'm like,
exactly right. Well, that's a big thing too. But when I was I don't often sign posters just because I'm in Australia, and there's to have a whole bunch of posters shipped to me takes forever and costs a fortune for me to scribble on them and send them all back for them to then be broken up and shipped out to everyone. Like, the cost and time is not worth it. But it actually really hit me a couple of years ago when I did my show with, again, with Matt Ferguson in New York there at Bottleneck Gallery. did the Amblin show.
Yeah, I've seen
And
pictures. It looks
that was
awesome.
the first time I was signing prints, and I was like, that was like, this is literally my name is on this
Yeah,
poster. It felt different. All of those prints felt different somehow. So I get what you mean. Yeah, like your name is on it, even though it all goes out under my name all the time. Those physical
yeah.
things with my physical signature I don't know, it just made me, I think it did change me a little bit and made me think about it a little bit differently as well.
When I've been doing these episodes, obviously I only stepped into talking to artists about 6 months ago, and I think we're on about our 10th guest now, and I find it fascinating. But one of the things Dolly said to me, which just blew my mind, he said to me that the best kind of feedback he can get and the compliment is that somebody in their own home has assigned a certain part of their wall or a certain part of their kitchen to his
Mm,
artwork. And I think that's blows my mind when you think that you're sitting there drawing, coming up with this Jaws poster or a
mm,
horror poster, and somebody is going to. It's that valuable to someone that that bit of their home is going to be you. So you're
mm.
basically signing their wall in a massive, colorful pen. And that
Yeah.
must be really hard to kind of, because I'm not on the inside, I'm not an artist, but to know that somebody is giving you that compliment, it's like wearing a t-shirt of a band, look, I'm walking around saying that I love
Mm,
Nirvana or whatever, it's like it's somebody saying that they love you that much that it could be anybody, it could be any movie poster, it could be any artwork, it could be a piece from a gallery, but they're saying, I want Florey's work right there. that's
mm.
that's a hell of a pat on the back, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's something else. And I actually have one of my very best mate, like he was very support. He's the best. He's very supportive early on, and he would always be like, "Oh, I'll buy one of those." When I was selling nothing, and he has them, like he has quite a few of them. And now, at some point, I crossed over and was like, "Just whatever you want, just tell me you can have it. Like it's fine." But so I go into his house, and I have this firsthand because it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, some Simpsons ones, like all the way down the hallway. It's like he doesn't have anything, he doesn't have anyone else's. And it just always is like, it's great, but it always is a bit like I'm always taken aback by it. Like, oh, you really, because I'm just in this little hole and I just draw them
Yeah.
on my computer. And then they, like, even for me as well, because everything's so far away, I don't get all the prints. Like
No.
some of them I never see physically, I've never seen, especially earlier on. I just won't get a copy. Either I forget to ask for it or they forget to send it or whatever else. Things happen. So it just to see, yeah, something like that, and to know that people are interested is sometimes a bit of I'm always taken back by it, I
Yeah.
think.
It must be quite hard because some people say to me, "Oh, that was my favorite episode," and I'm like, "Really? I didn't think that was a great interview." I'm like, "Really? You liked it?" And they're like, "Oh, it's amazing." I'm like, to know that you've sat there and you talked about having your nails painted and you're listening to these bands and designing without knowing, being a graphic designer, coming up with these band sort of posters and writing in the dates and stuff. What's it like to then now have work for bands like Metallica where you've been able to make that real? I mean,
Yeah.
that must be the ultimate, like trying to get your head
Yeah,
around
that one's pretty crazy. I think Metallica are actually the first band whose CD that I bought. I think it was Reload, which I know is not the
that.
one
At
to
least it
start
wasn't
on.
Saint Anger. That would have been even worse. That would have been the
No,
worst
no,
thing
I'm not
ever.
12 years
Yeah,
old.
that would have been the worst.
But like I did have, I had listened to the others, or
Yeah.
even, I think I even had a few from cousins and stuff. But then that was the first one that like I bought. And at the time that was cool because that album's just like loud and stupid.
Yeah, it's good. It's good enough.
Not as good as the others. Like, but it is, if you are, I don't know, 13 or something,
Yeah.
that's because it's got that kind of, it's more easily accessible, I guess you could say. Like it doesn't exactly smack you around. It's pretty simple. But yeah, to get that job from through Tim at Nakatomi, that was just one of the coolest things. I know he had a lot of artist spots to fill, but I'm still feel honored to be on that list. And we did the two, and I don't know if this is top secret, but we had a third one ready to go. And I was actually going to be at the show that my poster would have been for here in Melbourne.
Oh,
And it just, it just got cancelled and it didn't happen. The sketch is still there.
is that
That
all
would have
COVID,
been,
is it?
yes,
Yeah,
it was,
bastard thing.
just it all just shit. Oh fucking hell! Like I could complain about not getting a poster made. Obviously, there's people a bit more hard off than me, but yeah, that
That's a kick in the dick. Yeah,
that stung, that one, because that just would have been the absolute ultimate.
having
to
a
go
picture
there
of James
and be
Hetfield
like,
with the artwork.
yeah, there was talk of like trying to weasel in as well, so that would have been really fucking cool. But even just being able to go and be like, grab
That's
one, I'll have one poster, thank you. Like even buy one or something like that would have been really cool.
Oh man. And I've been obviously looking at a lot of your work, and I see a lot of it on Vice Press and Bottleneck and stuff like that. But I see a lot of Simpsons stuff, and I fucking adore the Simpsons. I haven't watched any episodes for about 2 years because I know
20 years.
I know it went well. I want to be generous, but yeah, it's gone terrible for me. But looking at stuff like Flaming Moe's, which is one of my favorite episodes ever, and some of the stuff you've done for, I think it was Camp Krusty and stuff like that. Where did this all come about? Because you do one piece and you think, well, that's good, and then you do another, but you've got about 6 or 7 pieces on your site, and they're all fucking ace. And I'm like, was it a dream project, or was it something that then led to being asked to do more? How did it come that you did quite a few numbers in?
Yes, that was a Bottleneck one. They got the Simpsons, and like Joe is, and the rest of the guys there as well. They're just legends, and they're very, very kind to me. They're actually the first ever thing that I ever did, which made me think that, oh, this could be a thing, was with them, with one of their first ever shows, which is one of the big group shows that everyone did. And when they started out, and I think I sold like 3 or 4 prints, and I was absolutely stoked with it. And Joe was like, yeah, great job, come back and do the next one. And that's actually what got this whole thing rolling. So Joe's in my good books forever. Like, he's one of the best, one of the good ones. Anyway, he said, oh, we got Simpsons, would you want to do it? I think I might have done a cartoon thing before or something, so he kind of thought, oh, maybe he could do this. And I'm almost obsessed with doing series of things. Like, so the first thing that popped into my, like, I just like collect, like, as you can see, toys everywhere. Like, I have a completist kind of mindset. Like, I like riffing on things and kind of seeing how things can maybe line up perfectly and all that sort of gear. So I was just like, oh, well, I don't want to do, how do you do one Simpsons poster? Like, to me, the Simpsons poster has been done, and it's the one that everyone had. It's the one with the whole, it's got every single character,
all of them,
the landscape one.
Yeah.
That is the Simpsons poster, because that's what it's about. I can't do that again. So I was like, oh, I would be more interested in trying to boil down the essence of episodes and kind of creating movie posters per episode. And he's like, yeah, go on, give it a shot. Like, they're always very open. Like, if you've got an idea, they'll take it and they'll try for you to get it through. And it was great. No issues. I don't think any of those had I want to say they didn't have a single change. And if they did, it was so minor that I don't remember it. Like, I think there was like a change on because the Flaming Moe's logo is not exactly what it is on I made it the sign from the episode or whatever, but they might have a thing, I think, because there's like a theme park with a Flaming Moe's in it, or there was, and they might have it closer to that. Whatever it was, they went very smoothly and sold well. So we did the three at once. We did Camp Krusty, Flaming Moe's, and Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Because I pretty much was like, what are my faves and what's on every top 10 list? Because I'm like, I want to hit big ones. If you're going to, because why do one job when you can do 7
of course.
jobs? Like, that's the, I don't know, that's the sort of dodgy way to think about it. I was like, I could just keep this going forever and keep selling more prints. But also, like, I want to add to that collection. I want to add to that series because I just like doing that. So yeah, I picked some big episodes, and I think people were stoked on it. It could have been a risky one, I think, and we weren't sure how it was going to go because, like you say, the Simpsons are maybe not at the height of their power, even sort of 5 years ago, whenever we did those prints. But I think choosing episodes from early on, from those first like absolute classic sort of first, season 2 through season 8 or something like that, considered to be just the best stuff. And it is some of the best TV ever made, with just absolute classic lines like every 5 seconds. It's just the best stuff. So I think choosing those episodes and boiling them down like that, I love doing it, and they went really well. So we did the second set, which was Rosebud, the bear.
Amazing. I love that episode.
Yeah, it's so good. That was actually probably the hardest one I think that I did, because I was just like, what do you do? Because it sort of jumps around a lot, because it's got that whole bit with the history of Bobo.
Yeah.
And then like it's a lot of burns. So like, oh, what am I going to do here? But yeah, you always come up with something. And we did that second series, and I think they went quite well too. And then I'm not sure what happened, because I would have gone forever. Like I could make every Simpsons episode. I really wanted to do a one-off of just Santa's Little Helper to release around Christmas.
That'd be lovely.
But with this stuff, you don't know, it comes and goes. Like licenses go away, they dry up. I think it may have been a thing actually. So Acme might have been involved as well. And yeah, I'm not as connected. They've been great as well in the past. I've done a few things for them as well. But you just don't know. On my end, like almost don't need to know. It's better sometimes if you don't know the businessy bit of it. I just like to draw the pictures and let them do a bit.
My favorite film of all time is Jaws, and I'm a sucker for anything Jaws. Literally, I've got bottle openers, I've got towels, I've got bloody shoes with Jaws on. And whenever an artist released a Jaws print, I'm there. So when Matt released his one, I was like, I'm all over that, got it straight away. And it was so good to see your take on it, because it must be really hard with such an iconic film, with the most iconic artwork I think I've ever seen, to have a different spin on it, or to make it just stand out above all the artists. I think every artist I've spoken to on this podcast special has done a Jaws print, or wanted to. So this was one of your biggest sellers. I remember it being all over Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and everyone was raving on. Where and how did it come about that you were then ready to think, do you know what, it's my time to now do Jaws?
It's one of my favorites as well. Like Spielberg, height of his power, perfect film sort of stuff. How did that come about? I don't know. It was probably like a lot of these things. It's really boring. It's like, hey, do you want to do Jaws?
All right,
okay,
done.
But there was nervousness there, because it is such an iconic. It's an iconic film with probably the most iconic poster, one of the perfect posters, and it can be really daunting. But I was just like, well, with most of with my pieces and posters and stuff, I'm a realist about my skills, right? I'm not the best artist. I'm not going to outdraw most. But I think, and this comes back to the graphic design stuff and starting there and having a solid foundation with composition and thinking out a little bit outside the box and trying to think what hasn't been done before. Because like I must have done 100 landscaping logos. Like there's only so many times you can draw a leaf. So thinking in that way, where you're trying to do something just a little bit different that you haven't seen yet, I think that's where my strengths lie. So every piece I'd see what's out. First thing I do is Google what's out there and go, right, that's not the idea.
No.
What is the idea? And just sort of go from there. And even
but Jaws is so vast. I mean, you type in Jaws poster,
Mondo
alone have got 20 different ones. You've got all the ones from Vice Press, from all the guys that have done
there's
it.
So many that are similar though. That's the thing too. Like, and they may not at first glance, or from like even the people that might have 3 of them on their wall, they may not even look similar. But to me, I'm like, well, that's the same 3 or 4 elements just smushed to like rearranged. Like I can see it. It's just the way maybe my brain works. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can see the puzzle and I can see the thought process there of how you got there. And I'm like, well, you haven't thought.
No,
I'm not saying any of them are bad.
No.
Probably there's a lot that are better than mine. There's a lot that are better than mine. And like I say, I can be outdrawn by most. But there's some, I can just see how you got there kind of thing. And I don't think there's always, people have been put off, I think, by as I was my first 48,000 sketches were shit as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, I didn't get their first crack. I think actually mine might have been approved with a different sketch. And like I was saying before, with the
Yeah.
approval,
Chopped
you
it up
come
a
back to
bit.
it and you go, oh, that's not actually, don't think I want to make that exactly like that. Rearranged it, redid the colors. Like it was sort of somewhat similar. I think it might have been a landscape at
Right.
first. And it was sort of more, I think it might have still had that beach view or whatever, but the viewpoint wasn't quite as low or something like that. Or we were showing more just open water. It just didn't work as well. But when I sort of thought about that dark light kind
Yeah.
of split and where to sit that horizon line, then it all kind of just fell into itself. And again, Matt was like, yep, that's the one. And I was like, yep, that's the one.
Is Matt the seal of approval for you? If you get
He
the
is,
yes
yeah.
from him, is it,
I
and does
think
it work
so.
two ways? Are you kind of like in a comfortable position to go, Matt, that's shit, that Transformers
Yeah.
poster isn't you, that you can do better.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know. I would say he's one of my best mates, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like we talk every day. We're constantly talking bullshit about whatever, and the art is there as well, constantly. Like I think he's definitely my 100% my seal of approval. My kind of
Yeah.
I don't know he always confirms, I think, what I'm already thinking, or we'll just say like one little thing that gets you going, okay, yeah, I will maybe just have a look at that bit again. And it pushes you forward. It stops you from thinking that, like just resting on your laurels and thinking like, I actually know that's not quite done. I'm going to just go for another half hour on this and see maybe where it leads.
Yeah.
He can answer. Have him on again so he can answer the same thing. I don't know, but yeah, we're always looking at each other's stuff.
I'll ask him and he'll be like, I don't fucking listen to a word he tells me. He's
it.
always giving me advice. I just delete it.
100%. That's exactly what he'll fucking say. Shit.
But you must have been absolutely thrilled. You did Jaws and it sold in minutes. All I
was
ever
terrified.
saw, my social media channel was everyone posting this image, like,
Mm.
oh, wow, I love it. And then you must have been, because I wouldn't know where to start with Jaws. Jaws and The Thing are those films where you just think, do you even attempt to try and do anything different to like, think of The Thing with Drew, you think that's probably one of the most iconic images. We're talking Jaws. Let's talk about
Absolutely.
The Thing, like that image is The Thing. I saw it on VHS when I was a kid, and I still see it now with Arrow releases and all these new companies taking it.
The poster keeps getting released as well. Like,
it does,
but for Jaws as well. Like,
yeah,
even Mondo and the like have been like, well, we can't do better, so we'll just put it out again.
Well, yeah, like Vice Press recently did
they did it as well.
iconic 3D one, and they've now done Drew again for The Thing, and it's like, why wouldn't you? It's iconic, and I want it on my wall in the best quality I can. If it's got that 3D effect, then that works. But
awesome.
as we sit here, are in the stages of just about releasing a Thing print, and you've taken on Jaws. You must be mental to then go, well, let's do The Thing as well. What next? Jurassic Park, We've done Jurassic Park, but yeah.
We'll do that again. No worries.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to do, I think I said earlier that I want each thing to be better than the last.
Yeah.
I also don't want to, because you're right. It's stupid to do the thing or Jaws. And I have pushed those to the wayside before. I've had chances to do them and just been like, don't know if I'd have the idea, and obviously something else comes along and you kind of forget about it, and I didn't really want to think about it. But I think I've come into how do I put this? So my style was quite different sort of 5 years ago. It was very vector, very kind of elongated arms and bigger heads and kind of more stylized. Like I really thought that I have to have a recognizable stylistic sort of, it has to be something you can just go, that's him.
Yeah.
And to an extent I want to have that, but I guess sort of like talking to other artists and talking to Matt and just seeing kind of what is popular, not to say that you just copy what's popular, but seeing what people are interested in, and what I'd become interested in as well was to challenge myself to draw better.
Yeah.
And to get better in that way, because I think, like I said, I think I have the compositional skills, I have the design skills. I wanted to get better. So I got into kind of moving away from the completely flat stuff. And to be honest, I think I got to a point where I was like, and I felt like I was holding myself back by keeping it in that style. So I was like, no, there is no shading. I don't do it. And then I'm like, oh, but I really could draw that cape on Thor better if I had have done that. Like it would have looked better and it should look better.
Yeah.
So then I slowly was kind of like, well, I'm just going to try this. Turns out I can do it. And it's, you know, it was there all along and I just had to let myself do it. So I think what's happened now, if you look at it, there was kind of Thor Ragnarok, which was very much that flat style, which I still like. I think it's a good poster. But then next was Ninja Turtles, I think, where I fully tried. I was like, right, I'm doing lighting. I want this to feel like the film as it should. I want this to be the poster that it should be, not the poster that should be then put through me sort of giving myself some constraints to just have this style for the sake of what? Like I'm disappointing myself because I don't think the posters are as good as they could be. Why do that? No one else cares. Like that if they like the poster, they'll have the poster. They don't care if you're giving yourself these constraints to have this specific style. So I was like, well, I'm just going to do it and see how it goes. And we say that Jaws was big, but at the time that, which was the one before it, the Ninja Turtles for me was a big leap forward. I think people were like, oh, hang on, he did that. And it's like, and I saw that a lot. Like, oh, hang on, that's way better than he usually does. And I didn't take that as a negative. I was like, yes, good. Okay, that's what I was trying to do. And then just through doing that doing the Star Wars some of the Star Wars ones in the same way, and then pushing forward and like, no, I think I can tackle these films that have seemed daunting because I think I can do them justice now. And that's why I'm on this kind of tear of like, I'm not going to say no to the thing now. I can do it now. I'm there. Now is my time. I think I can do it. And once I proved again with the Turtles and the Jaws that to nobody else but myself, that I could make a poster that is fitting and looks like it should be a poster for those films, then let's go. Now we go. And I don't know if it's you could say confidence or whatever. I think it's
you kind of need to convince yourself.
I feel good. I feel like I'm in a groove about it. Like I can push forward now, and that's what I'm trying to do is just keep pushing forward with it.
It is confidence, and it's yourself kind of accepting now's the time. Like there's going to be certain points. If you put it into a podcast terms, I wouldn't be ready for a certain guest. I'd be like, no, I'm not confident enough. I don't believe in my ability enough. Over years, your confidence grows and you don't even think about it. They can say this massive name. You're like, yeah, bring them on. Like, it's not even a thing. But if you told me when I started, you'd be interviewing Aubrey Plaza, I'd have shit myself and gone, I can't do that. But you're at the point now to take on, because you absolutely love the thing. So it's a personal project for you. You'd do it and it doesn't matter if it didn't get released. You'd be like, I'm doing my thing poster. And if Bottleneck or, Vice Press want to release it, bonus. But I've seen the image.
It's a top fiver for me. Like, absolute.
It's a perfect
film. It's up there with Jaws for me. Like that's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah.
So how did you make sure that this poster was finished? Because obviously as we're sitting and the episode's out, people are buying it, but how did you come to terms with Matt's approval? How did you because Matt's done the thing and he's doing another thing, you know, it's when do you know that's because this is your name on the thing, you know, that it doesn't get any bigger than that. Iconic wise, people are going to absolutely tear you to pieces if you didn't do it justice.
Sorry to put the fears on you. They're sick, and well, it's true. And they're sick of it too, to an extent. Well, the people that are the most vocal about, not another poster, Jaws, the thing, whatever, Jurassic Park. Oh, turns out we keep making them because people buy them.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it. People really love these films. That one was another one where you try to do the thing that hasn't been done. I'm gonna say the thing, and it's not gonna. I'm not referring to to saying the thing that hasn't been done yet. There's so many posters. There's so many good ones. There's a bunch of bad ones. My friends have done them. Some of them are really good.
Well, I've got a whole book
Just
printed in
take
blood,
all.
all of the
Yeah,
fucking
true.
movie
Yeah.
posters. So it's like, Christ, there's a Bible of them.
Yeah, you can. It's a flip book. You can flip
Yeah.
from front to back and see the entire film from the whole thing. When did I know it was done? It's just a matter. It just clicks. I think it's the same with anything, and with this one again, like this started as a different. So I drew the entire base from tunnel to tunnel, that whole side that this
Yeah.
scene is on, and it was landscape, and there was a lot more of the sort of, because to me a big thing about the thing is just the it's a location, but it's that starry sky that you get. It just,
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the start of the, when the, you know, the UFO goes through and you kind of just, you start on that starry sky and you get the bleed
It's
through
making me
of
want to
the.
go and watch it. I want to
I
quit
don't
this
know.
interview
Yeah, let's
and
just put it on
watch.
now and we'll just do
Yeah.
a watch along
Commentary.
or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So you've got the, I just liked that. So there was a lot more of that off to kind of the right hand side. Now our Made on Fire there was kind of situated over to the kind of left hand side. And I drew that entire goddamn base, all the fucking snow piled on the rooftops and all that sort of shit, which sounds easy. If you go back, there's an episode of Open Channel where Nan Lawson is on. She's like, "Oh, I'm just drawing some snow." And I just like, because I was playing the villain on that episode, and I just go, "What? That's not easy." And she's like, "Oh, it's really relaxing and it's just a lovely, great time." And I'm like, "I fucking hate snow." And that's a time frame, because I was drawing that goddamn poster, drawing all this snow. Just like,
That's why you
you're
can
trying
never
to
do
get
a
it.
Fargo poster, because you need to get the
Oh
blood and the
God.
snow and get it all right. It's
Might be. I think at this point, if it was daylight, you can just make it white. It's just the way that this poster is lit make the snow sort of
yeah.
difficult, because we're outside, so there's the light from the windows, and then there's the big light source in the front with a giant fireman / monster. Or anyway, it started to get away from me. Then I was like, oh, really? Why am I concentrating on all this bullshit over here that nobody cares about, when I can just plonk a great big title on it and make it portrait? I literally just dragged in the edge of the frame, put a big grey box over it or whatever. I was like, yeah, this is a portrait poster. Redid a different title in a different style.
And it clicked.
It clicked in my head. I was like, geez, I think this is it. But you always have that thing like, oh, I've spent so much time though. It's all there. All that information, that drawing is there. I should use it. You send it to Matt and he confirms what you thought. Yes, this is better. This is what we're doing. And that's what we did.
Amazing.
And then it was done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find most posters to be an evolving thing.
Yeah.
Like they have a life of their own almost. Like it's a lot of them that, something has to be moved just that little bit or quite a lot. And then you had it. Like you were 80% of the way there, but it just, something's in the back of your mind. This isn't quite right. My voice isn't fading in right under the music at the right time.
Yes, exactly that.
But then you get it and you
Yeah.
know, oh, that's it. Yeah, got it.
So now that you're on this kind of wave at the moment and your confidence is there and your ability's there and you're seeing the responses, it's not like, oh, fuck, Bottleneck have just emailed me and told me we sold 2.
Shit.
Oh, God. Well, you're in a good place. I don't want to curse.
And it has happened. It has happened.
Yeah, everyone's been there. It's bad.
Even not that long ago, like there's been a few that haven't gone. And luckily, recently we're okay. But yeah.
But now we're on this wave and, let's not curse it. But, you've got these really big titles under you. It all goes wrong after this episode. But you get to this point without spoiling too much. And there might be stuff you can't tell me. But are there big things that you want to accomplish that are still on the tick list? I mean, you are still young in the terms of look at Drew Stews when he's still doing stuff now.
Yeah.
But
we work till we're dead because we have no retirement.
Yeah, is there a tick box? Is there a thing like, do you want to do Halloween? That seems like an iconic poster that's in everyone's collection. Is there?
I'm nodding. This is an audio podcast, but I'm doing a really
big nod right now.
That's a top fiver as well. I have about 15 top fivers, but Halloween.
Is there Ghostbusters? Is there The Fog? Is there more John Carpenter? Is there ones that you really are? You said when the time's right that is just on the verge of coming your way.
There's a lot of films that I would love to do. I love a lot of films.
Yeah.
And there's even films that I've done that I could do again because I feel like there's more ideas there. But I'm kind of the guy that can get excited about anything.
Yeah.
Because if you throw a film at me and even if I haven't seen, I've done posters for films that I hadn't watched before, and they've been even early on. I did a commission for Disney's Robin Hood, and I'd never seen it. And this was at the point where you take what comes. Like there was a group of, I don't know, 30 kids or whatever they were interested. So I was like, oh, absolutely, I'll do it. And I think that was actually one that might have been the one that kind of was like, oh, this kid can do some stuff, like, and might have set me on my way a little bit early on. And I'd never seen that film. And everyone's like, oh, what an obvious idea. Like that's a great poster for that film or whatever. So I feel like I do tend to just start, if you say, oh, do this, I start ruminating. So I don't really think ahead of like, oh, what films would I want to do? Obviously I'd love to do some Hitchcock things.
Nice.
I'd love to do more Carpenter things. I'd love to do, just Spielberg stuff, like all that 80s gear, like anything. What would you want me to do? I'm throwing questions back at you now.
I'd like
what
to
would
see
you
I'd
to
like to see your take on Halloween.
Yes.
I think that could be really interesting. I know every artist has had it on their portfolio, but I just want to see something different. I don't just want to see the mask with a reflection in of a knife. I want to see something
drives
a bit
me
different.
fucking mental.
Yeah, or I don't want to see someone standing at the edge of a bush with their head over.
Yeah.
I want to see something different. I want to see a completely different vision that makes you go, "Oh fuck, yeah." That would be good.
I think the best ones, and like what I always wanted to do but couldn't have for many reasons, was like, skill level wasn't there, or they get that confidence, or I just wasn't getting the jobs at the time. But I think when Phantom City did theirs, I think they did a couple of them. But to me, Halloween, the best thing about it is, again, that location and that atmosphere that he puts forward of just a suburban street. And it's not a suburban street that I know, because I'm in Australia. We don't have fall and Halloween in the same way, but it's that like cinematic suburban street with there's just shots of like, you're just in the houses, you see that they're across from each other. It's like a real location, like it's a real thing, and running backwards and forwards and carrying on. And where everyone gets murdered and where, like, I could almost like dot it out on a map. That's how good it is. And I love that. Just like, I think they just did what did they do? The shot of the house from across the street or something. Yeah. Is what I always kind of wanted to do. I just wanted it to be in the distance through some autumnal trees, maybe from across the road or from his viewpoint. So not have Michael in it or anything. But I think that's what I would probably want to do with Halloween. Again, see, look, I'm already getting excited about it. It's not a real job. Like, I'm just having ideas. They sort of just tend to come out. Not that they're always perfect and I can't always execute them straight away, but I'll always have a crack. Any film you want to throw at me, anyone out there with licenses?
Yes.
Throw them at me.
Facebook you.
I'll take it.
Instagram you. And a question I've asked every single artist that's been on the podcast, and you've listened back and you've probably been slightly prepared for this one, but what advice do you give to the people that have listened today that then go, do you know what? I want to be like this. I want to do art. They're not always going to be in a position where they're at a sort of school or a college where they get the opportunity to take on it, especially when families are so big on, you need to get a proper job, son. You need to do a accountancy, or you need to go to law school. If someone's creative and they're sitting there doodling like you and they're passionate about Marvel or Transformers or all this sort of stuff, what advice do you give to those people to get out there and get their work seen and stand out above every other artist that's out there at the moment?
Make things. Just keep making things. Start making things. I don't know if, we didn't talk about this exactly from the start, but the way that I started doing this was I was working at the design studio, and I was sort of falling out of love with it. I wasn't enjoying it. It's just too much clients, staff, too much work all at once kind of stuff. So every Sunday I would just get up and go, okay, Tron today. There's my obligatory Tron mention. I'll do a Tron poster today. And I would sit there all day and I would make it. And then whatever I had that night, I would just post on my Tumblr. And then I get 5 likes or notes or whatever they were called on Tumblr. They're like, oh, wow, 5, incredible. Eventually, like just doing that every Sunday and giving myself that like, oh, I'm back into drawing now. Like I'm just drawing for me. I'm doing whatever I want. Like, you get 100 likes, and I'd go into work and I'd be like to the girls across the office, I'd be like, check this out, 100 likes. And they're like, whoa, are you like a famous person?
Can I have your autograph?
It was like, and it's just like, it was like nothing, but doing that obviously helped those early skills and that work ethic to kind of punch it out quick and just get something out there, and then getting a little bit of feedback then fed into itself. So I think the way that I would start off is just make stuff, put it up somewhere, probably not on I don't know what's it called, like a Dribble or a Behance or something like that at the start. I don't think you need to do that because that's where everyone is. Make your own stupid blog with a dumb name that is just for you, or your own website, just create an online portfolio, whatever, and just make stuff. Whatever you want it to be. And even if no one notices it, you're pushing yourself forward. Just give yourself time and create stuff. And eventually I think, and obviously I've been very lucky, like from that blog, someone saw it and he was doing a project or something where he wanted to illustrate every Marvel character of all time or something like that. And so I did a couple of those. And then he was the guy that co-ran that show at Bottleneck that I got into on the very first one. Now, how that all connects to itself, I have no idea. How I'm making Tron in my underpants on a Sunday to then being in an art show a year later in New York, to then my job is to draw movie posters 6 years later or whatever it's been. I don't know how all that happens, but it wouldn't have happened if I didn't just start making things.
And the toughest question that you're going to get is, and you must have heard this, is I ask everyone that comes on the podcast to choose the outro piece of music, and it makes the episode completely exclusive to you. And you can choose a song, a piece of music off a soundtrack, whatever you want, as long as it's audio based. And I've had everyone from Mads Mikkelsen to Kevin Smith to the cast of Twin Peaks, all the people try and pick a song, and it's not easy. And to put you on the spot and ask for just one, but I want to know what that song is that comes to you in your heart when I ask you. What would the Matt approval song be?
Well, he's going to fucking love this. And it's the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know if maybe it does sum me up generally, like somewhat colorful, over the top, but can be serious as well. And that'll make sense once I figure out exactly which song from the soundtrack it's going to be. Nothing's going to stand in our way from the Transformers movie soundtrack.
So I want to say a massive thank you for coming on the podcast. And as we're sitting here now, to know that we're going to be seeing people that are going to be jumping on your site and going on Vice Press and checking out your work, hopefully buying some prints, not the Thing one if it's sold out. So you'll have to get that elsewhere. But
fingers crossed.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you come on. And I'm absolutely loving speaking to artists. And you've got such an amazing future ahead of you already. And it's incredible.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. It's been fun. I don't know what I said. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll listen back and hate it all. And
I feel like I've just rambled on. But hopefully everyone out there is happy, and hopefully, we can get some more fun posters out soon.
It'll be good.
Yeah, it's all good. I'll have to come back on and we'll just watch Halloween and the Thing.
Well, that's the thing. When we said it on the episode,
do some watch-alongs, man.
I was like, let's do a watch-along. Let's do, I don't know, let's get the gang or the boys together and we'll do something, and we'll do like a YouTube video or something, a streaming thing of us just watching the Thing. So there it is. And as I promised at the start of today's episode, one of my favourite interviews, and I hope now that you can see why. What an incredible guy. So talented, so down to earth, so easy to talk to, and that's what makes it one of my favourite interviews. We talked for over an hour and a half. I got it down to just over an hour for you guys, but I will make sure that Florey comes back. We have so much more to talk about, and he really is one of the nicest guests I've had on the podcast. So a massive thank you for taking the time and coming and talking to me about all your incredible artwork. If by now you haven't paused the podcast and not gone on his website or Vice Press or Bottleneck Gallery and bought yourself a print, do. He is an absolute genius and deserves all the support in the world out there. His artwork is easily some of my favourite, and honestly, you'll end up spending loads of money if you go on the site, but it's a good thing. And as it goes for all the artists that have been on these specials for the podcast, go and support these guys. They are so hardworking, so committed, and deserve your time and money. If you've enjoyed today's podcast, please jump on markandme.com. On there, there's links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram, and my email. You can share the episodes on your own social media, and it makes a huge difference. It gets the podcast heard from people that might not know about it, so really, please do take the time to share the episode and tell your friends about it. It makes such a difference. I've also got a Patreon page, and on there this month I'm going to be giving away one of the Thing posters from Florey, which is sold out now on Vice Press. It's the variant, it's absolutely beautiful, it glows in the dark, and it really is one of those prints that should be in everyone's collection. So jump onto Patreon. All the money that you invest via Patreon goes right back into the podcast and allows me to record and release more episodes for you guys out there. But also, as a thank you, you can receive badges, stickers, and be entered to so many different prize draws every month. I promise, it really does help the podcast to become what it is today. So please, if you can afford just £1 a month, and for that you're getting about 6 or 7 episodes per month, it really does help. I'll be back in only a few days' time. I'm really manic at the moment, and the interviews are coming in thick and fast, so I have no plans to slow down anytime soon. And hey, until I speak to you next time, take care, and I'll speak to you all soon.